What's up, guys? Hey, Jared Beckstrand here, doctor of physical therapy, toneandtighten.com, and today we're talking all about lateral hip pain. This is pain that you get on that outside part of your hip. We're going to talk about what it is, why you get it, and then I wanted to share with you 7 of my favorite stretches and exercises to hopefully help you guys to feel better. So let's get into that right now. All right, you guys, let's do this. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today here on Tone and Tighten. I'm excited to be able to share a little bit of what I know about this topic with you guys, and I hope to be able to help you out of some of the pain that you might be experiencing. Hey, if these things do help you out, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you're maybe new here, I'd love for you to subscribe to Tone and Tighten here on YouTube. You can do that by hitting that little red button right down there in the corner. That means a lot to me. Thank you guys for that. Okay, so let's talk about this lateral hip pain. Again, kind of pain on the outside of your hip joint. I would say most often due to a condition known as bursitis, and so these are going to be stretches and exercises to help alleviate lateral hip pain, also known as hip bursitis. The medical term is going to be trochanteric bursitis. So if you've been into a doctor, if he's diagnosed you with that type of an injury, if those words sound familiar to you, you're in the right spot. Let's talk about what it is. And so I've got my leg here. I've got my hip joint model, and so right now it sits just right in here. It looks like just like this. If I were to turn this sideways, so now you're looking at a profile view, you're going to see that there's let me make sure I'm in my camera. You're going to see that there's a big bone right up here on the top of the femur, or a big kind of bony prominence right up here on the top of the femur. If you were to put your hand on that side of your hip and kind of rub up and down, you're going to feel a fairly prominent bony structure in there. That's this guy right here. That's known as the greater trochanter. Now, you have that big bony prominence because it's an area where quite a few muscles attach. You've got 5 muscles that come kind of from the hip, and they all attach in that area. That means you also have 5 tendons that all interact with each other right in this spot. Now, because your hip is such a mobile joint, and because there's so many muscles that act on it, you've got basically some pads in between those tendons that are called bursa, or bursa sacs. It's really thin and it's really slippery. And the idea there is that is around the bone, and it's kind of between those tendons, and just kind of protects that area from all of the friction that could occur there. Now, what can happen is that those bursa sacs can become irritated. The 2 most common causes, I'd say, are limited mobility, so you're tight through those tendons and it's causing increased pressure on that bursa, or you're weak in that area and the mechanics of the hip are thrown off such that, again, the rubbing of those tendons is going to irritate that bursa sac. And so those are the causes of it. Now, what are we going to do about it? Basically, we stretch where it's tight and we strengthen where it's weak. I've got 7 of them for you. They're coming at you right now. All right, so let's get into these. I've got 7 exercises that I want to run you guys through. We're going to do 3 stretches. We're going to follow that up with 4 strength training exercises. Hopefully you guys feel better. So for this first one, you're going to need, I tell people to grab at home like a belt or a towel or a sheet or a rope. I just want something long that doesn't stretch. If you have some like elastic band or elastic tubing, that doesn't work as well. I want you to stretch, not the product or the device that you're using. And so I've got it's called this stretch out strap. This is actually really nice. It's got these handles woven into it, so it makes holding onto it a little easier. Check the link down in the description if you're interested in purchasing your own or learning more about that. What we're going to do is lay down on your back. Let's say I'm working on my left leg just because that's the one closest to the camera. So if I wanted to stretch out that left hip, I'm going to put that strap right around my left foot, and then with my leg extended, I'm going to bring it up just as high as I can, just till I get a good stretch in the hamstring. Now, a lot of people will feel like some tightness back here in the hamstring or even behind the knee joint. Just tells me that we need to get it moving a little bit better. That can actually help with some of the pain you might be experiencing. We're going to take it up. Right now, my left toe is going straight towards my left shoulder. What I want to do when I get up to where it's a little bit tight, I'm actually going to take my left toe, and I'm going to duck it over here towards my right side. All of a sudden, as I pull it over that way, you're going to feel a really good stretch up through the lateral hamstring, even up into kind of that glute piriformis area, right up here high in the hip. Lay your head down. I'm just talking to you guys. Now I'm just talking to you guys. I'm just talking to you guys. That's why I had my head up. So lay your head down, get comfortable. Leg comes up, and then it comes over. You're going to hold that for about a 20-second count, and then you're going to repeat that 3 times. That's your first one. That's like a lateral hamstring stretch. One quick mention on this: don't pull so far that your hip comes up off of the floor. I want you to be able to keep your hip down on the floor as you're doing that. Exercise number 2, or stretch number 2, is going to be a Piriformis, or a figure 4 stretch. To stay with this left side, what I'm going to have you do is bring your left leg up and over your right knee. Now with both of your hands, you're going to duck kind of right down into this space right here to grab right around your right knee, and then you're going to lay back, and then the goal here is to pull your right knee up into your right shoulder. And as I give that a little pressure, as I pull up towards my shoulder, what you're going to feel with that is a good stretch in that left hip joint. This is specifically for this piriformis muscle. That one gets tight a lot, and so if we can stretch that one out, it's going to help you to feel better. 3 times 20-second holds on that one also. And the last stretch that I want to show you is a standing stretch for your hip abductors. Let's again say that it's over on this right side that my pain is located. What I'm going to do is with my left leg take a big step over my right foot. Now what I want to do is push my hips over to the right side. Now, for a lot of you, this is going to be adequate, meaning you should feel a good stretch basically from the top of the hip across that greater trochanter, maybe even down into your IT band a little bit. If you do need even a little bit more of a stretch than that, with my right hand, I can reach kind of up and over to the opposite side. I'm reaching up and over to the left side, making basically this whole right side of my body as long as possible. That's a way that you can actually enhance and facilitate a greater stretch. What I would do is I'd get into that position, I'd hold it there for 20 seconds, I'd come out of it, and then I would repeat that 3 times. So 3 times, 20-second holds on that one. Those are all your stretches. Let's move on to some strength activities. So for your strengthening exercises, let's get back down on the floor. Let's keep them simple, but let's keep them effective. What I'm going to have you do first, I'm going to show you what we call a clamshell. Let's pretend like it's my right hip is the one that's hurting. I'm going to lay on my left side with both my knees bent. My feet stay together, and then what I'm going to do is simply just pull my knees apart. Hold up here for about a 1 to 2 second count, and then come right back down. Hold 1, 2, and then come right back down. And so you'll see it's kind of like a clam opening and closing its mouth. That's where it gets its name from. I want your hips to stay stacked, meaning one right on top of the other. If we go so high that your hips start to roll open, you've gone too far. And so try to keep your hips one on top of the other, and we're just going to open and close that clam. Now this one can be a little bit aggravating. These are muscles that you just don't use regularly. Weakness in this area can be one of the main causers of this hip bursitis problem. And so keep that in mind. I tell people to start with 10. If 10 reps feels good, go to 20. If 20 reps feels good, go to 30. Start with about 3 sets of 10 and then plan to progress from there. Next, we're going to do a sidelying abduction. So I had a rotation component with this one. Now we're going to get into like a straight abduction, or like a straight leg raise. Same position, I'm laying on my left side, left leg's bent, right leg is now out straight, hips are stacked, one right on top of the other. What I want you to do is keep your foot parallel to the floor, meaning I don't want it to rotate up this way. Try to keep, you can see, I hope you can see it. My toe is pointed straight at you guys right now. Keep it there throughout the duration of this motion. In this position now, what we're going to do is we're going to pull our heel up towards the ceiling and slightly behind us. So down and then up towards the ceiling and slightly behind us. So it looks just like that. Same thing on this one. This can be a little bit aggravating, and so the goal would be to start with 10 repetitions. If 10 feels good, do 10 more, and then finish with 3 sets of 10 would be the goal. When 3 sets of 10 starts to become easy, work up to even like 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 15. There's your sidelying abduction. Next, let's get into what we'd call some straight leg raises. This is going to work the hip flexors, the muscles on the front of your hip. The goal being to just stabilize the entire hip joint, all the muscles that act around it, to decrease some of the stress on that bursa sac. And so the straight leg raise, let's say that it's my left hip that's now tender, so it's the one closest to you guys.
my right knee is bent, what I'm going to do is lock my quad out. So I want my knee locked out straight, and then I'm going to just raise up until this leg is parallel with this leg. So it's about a 45-degree angle, and then come right back down. So we're going to go up and we're going to come down. Looks just like that. That quad's got to stay locked out. Should feel this one in the hip flexors right up here at the top. Most people don't have a problem with this one. If I tell you to do 30 of these, that should be pretty easy. And so about 3 sets of 10, work up into more sets if you can. More reps, work into more reps if you can. 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of even 20 is a good number to shoot for here. Finally, let's get the hip extensors fired up. So the glute group, my favorite exercise that you can do at home for that is going to be bridges. And so I'm going to lay down on my back. My first step is to activate my glutes. So I want you to squeeze your butt. And so get those glutes activated, and then use that contraction to lift your hips up towards the ceiling and then right back down. So squeeze the butt, lift up towards the ceiling, and then come right back down. Squeeze and lift. Looks just like that. Bridges are typically well tolerated with this injury also. 3 sets of 10's probably no thing for you. Work up to even like 3 sets of 15 as tolerated would be a good number to shoot for there. All right, you guys, so there you have them, 7 of my favorite stretches and exercises that you can do right at home to hopefully alleviate some of that greater trochanteric bursitis pain, that lateral hip pain, that hip bursitis pain that you guys might be experiencing. I hope this helped you guys out. If it did, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. If you guys have any questions or comments about anything that I covered in this video, or if you have ideas or suggestions for future videos that you would like to see from me or from Tone and Titan, go ahead and leave those in a comment down below. Hey, also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to Tone and Titan here on YouTube. Hit the circle right down below to do that. This is that hip flexor pain video that I mentioned to you guys earlier. You might check that one out. Down here is one more video that you might benefit from. Thanks again for watching here on Tone and Titan. We'll see you next time.